How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, April 30th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances that took place on Friday, April 29th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as, of course, we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Taking a look at where we are in basketball, the last game of the first round of the 2021-22 playoffs has been played yesterday. And now we are down to 8 teams as we get ready to go into what's getting ready to be quite a second round of basketball. The second round is going to start on Sunday, as today is actually the off day. And of course, I'll get into what's going to go down tomorrow. And I'm going to have a preview for what's going to go down. But first, taking a look at what happened in the last first round game of the 2022 playoffs, the 7-seed Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the 2-seed Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies came into this series holding a 3-2 lead after they had won Game 5 in Memphis by 2. They would go on to win Game 6 by 8 as they will advance to the next round to face off against the Warriors. They won this game 114-106. They won it by 8 points after they had to outscore the Timberwolves by 18 in the fourth quarter to come back and win this game. As of course, they came into the fourth quarter trailing by 10 on the losing end of this matchup. In their final game of the 2021-22 season, the hometown Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their number 1 overall pick from a couple of years ago, Anthony Edwards out of Georgia. Their elite starting small forward would finish with 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 41 minutes. He shot 10 for 24 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and 6 for 10 from the free throw line. Their power forward off the bench, Jaden McDaniels, finished with 24 points in 33 minutes. He shot 8 for 9 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns, finished with 18 points and 10 rebounds in 41 minutes. He also had 4 assists. He shot 6 for 19 from the field and 6 for 9 from the free throw line. Their starting point guard, Patrick Beverley, finished with 10 points and 2 steals as he fouled out in 38 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the 2nd-seed Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Desmond Bane, and their starting small forward, Dillon Brooks. Bane finished with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 turnovers in 43 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field and 5 for 9 from 3. Dillon Brooks finished with 23 points as he fouled out in 32 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field and 5 for 6 from 3. Their starting power forward, Jaren Jackson Jr., finished with 18 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 34 minutes. JJ shot 6 for 15 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and he shot 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard, Ja Morant, out of Murray State, finished with 17 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, and 5 turnovers in 38 minutes. He shot 4 for 14 from the field and 9 for 12 from the free throw line. Their power forward off the bench, Brandon Clark, finished with 17 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks in 33 minutes. He shot 5 for 9 from the field and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. Their point guard off the bench out of Duke, Tyus Jones, finished with 10 points in 26 minutes. And with this win, the 2-seed Memphis Grizzlies will win this series. They have won this series in 6. They will advance to the second round. They will face off against the Golden State Warriors. Their first game is set for Sunday. And with this loss, the Minnesota Timberwolves are the 8th team that has been eliminated from the first round of this playoffs after they finished with a 46-36 record. Not to mention that they were able to beat the LA Clippers in the play-in round, so they were able to get some glory in this. And they will, of course, go into this offseason looking to get better and coming back as a much stronger team next year. Taking a look now at what's going on with the NHL, the last game of the NHL season will feature the Winnipeg Jets and the Seattle Kraken tomorrow. And then after that, we are going to get ready for what's going to be an amazing Stanley Cup round. That will start on Monday. Taking a look at what's going on in the MLB, starting off in Pittsburgh, the Pirates hosted the San Diego Padres. The Pirates scored the first 2 runs of the game. The Padres would come back and they would take the lead in the 5th inning off of a Jake Cronenworth single pulled, and they would go on to win this game 7-3 in Pittsburgh. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Pirates would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Zach Thompson. Thompson allowed 4 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 2 in that before he was pulled in the 5th inning. With this loss, Thompson is 0-3. In the Pirates batting lineup, their designated hitter, Daniel Vogelbach, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Their shortstop in this matchup, Diego Castillo, would end up going 2 for 4 as well. And then their center in this matchup, Andrew Knapp, will go 2 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the San Diego Padres will see the win go to their elite starting pitcher, Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish will go on to allow 3 earned runs off of 8 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He struck out 5 batters and walked 1, and with this win, he's now 2-1. With this win, like I said, he's now 2-1 on the season, and then the save would end up going to the Padres closer, Taylor Rogers. He would finish off the 9th inning, getting the last 2 outs of the inning. He picked up his 8th save of the year. In the Padres batting lineup, their second baseman, Jake Cronenworth, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their shortstop, Ha-Seong Kim, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. As he went on to hit his 3rd home run of the year, Cronenworth hit his 2nd home run of the year. With this win, the San Diego Padres are now 14-7. That is the 2nd best record in the National League West. And taking a look at where they are now, they have now won their last 4 games. They are tied with the Milwaukee Brewers for the 2nd longest active losing streak in the National League, behind the Miami Marlins. With this, or I guess with this win also, they have 1 more win and 1 more loss than the Dodgers, so they're sitting even with the Dodgers, but they have the 2nd best record-wise in the division. They and the Dodgers are sitting half a game ahead of the 3rd place San Francisco Giants. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 8-12. That is the 3rd best record in the NL Central, as they are tied with the Chicago Cubs. They've now lost their last 4 games. They are tied with the Cincinnati Reds for the longest active losing streak in the National League. And with this loss, they've now lost 7 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 5.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. Jumping out to Miami, one of the hottest teams in baseball, the Miami Marlins would go on to host the Seattle Mariners. They would go on to beat the Mariners 8-6 after scoring all 8 of their runs in the first 3 innings of the game. And of course, this would be after the Mariners actually took the lead. The Mariners would take a 3-2 lead in the top of the 2nd. In the bottom of the 2nd, the Miami Mariners would tie it off of a Jacob Stalling single and take the lead off of a Jesus Aguilar single. On the losing end of this matchup, the ALS contenders would see the loss go to their starting pitcher in this matchup, Matt Brash. Brash allowed 6 earned runs off of 7 hits in the first 2 innings of the game, the 2 innings that he would pitch. He would strike out 3 batters and then walk 2 as he was pulled in the 3rd. With this loss, he's now 1-2. In the Mariners batting lineup, their shortstop, J.P. Crawford, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. And then their center fielder, Julio Rodriguez, their rookie, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Miami Marlins would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Elise Hernandez. He would go on to allow 3 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched, as he struck out 5 batters and walked 1. With this win, he's now 2-1 on the 2022 season. The save would go to the Marlins closer, Anthony Bender. He allowed no earned runs off of 1 hit as he finished off the 9th inning, as he would finish. This would be his 5th save of the year. In the Marlins batting lineup, their first baseman, Jesus Aguilar, will go 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. And then their shortstop, Miguel Rojas, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Or 2 RBIs and a run. He would go on to hit his first home run of the season. With this win, the Miami Marlins are now 11-8. That is the 2nd best record in the National League East, as they have now won their last 6 games. They have the longest active winning streak in the National League, as only the New York Yankees have a longer winning streak in the major leagues. They have now won 7 of their last 10 games. They now trailed the division-leading New York Mets by 3 games. Taking a look at where the Mariners are after this loss, they are 11-9. They are tied with the Houston Astros for the 2nd best record in the division. They have now lost their last 3 games. They have the 2nd longest active losing streak in their division. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games. Alongside the Astros, they are sitting 2.5 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels. Jumping out to Baltimore, the Orioles hosted the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox would end up beating the Orioles 3-1 after scoring all 3 of their runs in the second inning of the game. Of course, they would take the lead. Their first runs would come off of a 2-run home run from Christian Arroyo. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Baltimore Orioles would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Kyle Bradish. He allowed 3 runs off of 5 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters and then walk 1. With this loss, he is 0-1 on the year. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He would hit his second home run of the year. Their designated hitter, Austin Hayes, would end up going 2 for 3 on the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the Boston Red Sox would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Rich Hill. He allowed no earned runs off of 1 hit in the 4 innings that he pitched as he struck out 4. The win would go to the Red Sox first relief pitcher, Tanner Houck. He allowed no earned runs off of 2 hits in the 3 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and then walk 3. With this win, he's now 2-1. The save would end up going to the Red Sox closer, Matt Strahm. He allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 9th inning as he struck out a batter and then walked 1. With this save, this is his first of the year. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their elite third baseman, Rafael Devers, would go 2 for 4. And then, of course, with this win, the Boston Red Sox are 9-12. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They've only won 3 of their last 10 games. They now trail the division-leading New York Yankees by 5.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are 6-14. That is the worst record in the American League East. They are tied with the Texas Rangers for the worst record in the American League. They have now lost their last 5 games. Only the Detroit Tigers have a longer losing streak in the American League. The Orioles have lost 7 of their last 10 games. They sit 8 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. Jumping out to Toronto, the Blue Jays would host the defending American League champs, Houston Astros. The Astros would end up beating the Blue Jays and will be a slugfest 11-7 after scoring 5 runs in the 6th inning as they were only up by 1 going in. It would be a very big 3-run home run from Jeremy Pena followed by a 2-run home run from Yordan Alvarez to give the Astros this win. On the home end of this matchup, the starting pitcher for the Blue Jays was Yusei Kikuchi. He would allow 4 earned runs off of 4 hits in 2.2 innings. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 3 before he was pulled in the 3rd inning. The loss for the Blue Jays would go to their first relief pitcher, Trent Thornton. He allowed 1 earned run off of 2 hits as he would finish off the 3rd and pitch the entire 4th inning. With this loss, he's 0-2. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their elite third baseman, Matt Chapman, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would go on to hit his 4th home run of the season. Their right fielder, Raimel Tapia, would end up going 4 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their second baseman, Santiago Espinal, went 2 for 5. And then their catcher, Tyler Heineman, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Their elite first baseman, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., would go 1 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run as Guerrero hit his 6th home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the Houston Astros would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Jose Urquidy. He allowed 4 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and then walk 1. With this win, he's now 2-1 on the season. In the Astros batting lineup, their designated hitter, Yordan Alvarez, went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs. He hit his 5th home run of the season. Their first baseman, their elite first baseman, or the reigning American League batting champ, Yuli Gurriel, would go 3 for 5 with an RBI. Their right fielder, Kyle Tucker, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs as well. Their elite third baseman, Alex Bregman, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and 3 runs as he hit his 4th home run of the season. Then their center fielder, Jose Siri, would go 2 for 5 with a run. With this win, the Houston Astros are now 11-9. That is the second best record in the American League West as they are tied with the Seattle Mariners. They have now won their last 4 games and they've won 5 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 2.5 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels. With this loss, the Toronto Blue Jays are 13-8. That is the second best record in the American League East. They've only lost 3 of their last 10. They are sitting a game and a half behind the division leading and American League leading New York Yankees at the moment. Jumping out to Tampa Bay, the Rays would host the Minnesota Twins, and after scoring all 6 of their runs in the first 3 innings, they would beat the Twins 6-1. On the losing end of this matchup, the Twins would see the loss go to their starting pitcher Dylan Bundy. Bundy would allow 6 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He struck out 7 batters and would walk 2. With this loss, he's 3-1. In the Twins batting lineup, their elite shortstop Carlos Correa would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Tampa Bay Rays would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Corey Kluber, the former Cy Young winner, would allow 1 earned run off of 1 hit in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters in the 6 innings. With his win, he's now 1-1. In the Rays batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Wander Franco, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their first baseman, Yandy Diaz, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 12-8. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They are sitting 2 games behind the division and league leading New York Yankees. With this loss, the Minnesota Twins are now 11-9. That is the best record in the American League Central. They've lost 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 3 games ahead of the 2nd place Cleveland Guardians, and they are sitting 3 games ahead of the 3rd place Kansas City Royals. Taking a look at where the New York Mets are, the team that's holding the best record in the National League, hosted the Philadelphia Phillies, and they would hold the Phillies to 0 hits all game, pick up an incredible no-hitter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Philadelphia Phillies would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Aaron Nola. Nola allowed 3 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched as he struck out 9 batters. With this loss, he's 1-3. And of course, the team would be held to 0 hits as their left fielder, Kyle Schwarber, did end up getting walked 3 times. On the winning end of this matchup, the New York Mets as a team would pick up a no-hitter. The win would go to Tyler McGill. He allowed no earned runs and no hits, obviously, in the 5 innings that he pitched, as he struck out 5 and walked 3 in the first 5 innings of the game. Their first relief pitcher in this matchup, Drew Smith, would go 1.1 innings going into the 7th. Their third relief pitcher in this matchup, Joely Rodriguez, would, of course, go through the 7th and into the 8th. Their setup relief pitcher, Seth Lugo, would finish off the 8th, and then their closer, Edwin Diaz, would pick up the save going in the entire 9th inning, striking out all 3 of the batters he needed to strike out. This would be his 4th save of the year. In the Mets batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Francisco Lindor, would end up going 2 for 4, and then their second baseman, Jeff McNeil, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Their elite starting first baseman, Pete Alonso, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He would go on to hit his 4th home run of the season. With this win, the New York Mets are 15-6. That is the best record in the National League East. They've won 7 of their last 10 games as they sit 3 games ahead of the 2nd place Miami Marlins in the division. With this loss, the Philadelphia Phillies are 10-11. They are tied with the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves for the 2nd best record in the National League East. They have now lost 4 of their last 10 games, and they now sit 5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. That is currently where they are. Jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago White Sox hosted the Los Angeles Angels. The Angels would end up beating the White Sox 5-1. The Angels scored 2 runs in the first inning before the White Sox were able to score their lone run of the game. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown White Sox were led out by their starting pitcher from Los Angeles, Lucas Giolito. He allowed 3 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 7 batters and walk 1. With this loss, Lucas Giolito is 0-1 in 2022. In the White Sox batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Tim Anderson, was the only player who had more than 1 hit. He went 2 for 4 with a run, the only run of the game for the White Sox. On the winning end of this matchup, the Los Angeles Angels would see the start go to Jimmy Herget. Herget would allow 1 earned run off of 1 hit in the 3 innings that he pitched. He struck out 2. The win would go to the Angels' first relief pitcher, Austin Warren, who pitched the 4th and 5th inning. He would allow no runs and no hits as he would strike out a batter. This would be his 2nd win of the season. He's now 2-0. The save would go to the Angels' closer, who was an all-star last year, Raisel Iglesias, would finish off the ninth, pitching .2 innings as he would strike out a batter and walk one. This would be his sixth save of the year. In the Angels batting lineup, their right fielder, Nick Ward, would end up going 3 for 5 with an RBI and Taylor Ward went 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run, as he would go on to hit his 5th home run of the season. Their elite designated hitter in the reigning American League MVP, Shohei Ohtani, went 2 for 5 with an RBI and 3 runs. He hit his 4th home run of the season. Their elite third baseman, Anthony Rendon, went 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then their shortstop, David Fletcher, would end up going 2 for 4. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are now 14-7. That is the best record in the American League West, as they've now won their last 6 games and they've won 8 of their last 10. They're holding on to the second longest active winning streak in the American League. Only the Yankees have a longer winning streak. The Angels have won 8 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 2.5 games ahead of the Houston Astros and Seattle Mariners in their division. With this loss, the Chicago White Sox are 7-12. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central. They've now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 9 of their last 10. They are sitting 3.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. And, of course, taking a look at what's going on in Arlington, the Texas Rangers hosted the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves would go on to beat the Rangers 6-3. They would make sure that the Rangers did not get a chance to take a lead at all. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Rangers would be led out by their starting pitcher, Garrett Richards. Richards would allow 2 earned runs off of 2 hits as he would pitch 1 entire inning. He struck out 2 batters and walked 1. Picking up his first loss, Garrett Richards is 0-1 on the year. In the Rangers batting lineup, their only player with more than 1 hit was their third baseman, Andy Ibanez, as he went 2 for 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the defending World Series champs, Atlanta Braves, would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Ian Anderson. Anderson allowed 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and walk 2. With this win, he's now 2-1 on the season, and the save would end up going to the Braves closer and former Dodger Kenley Jansen. He would allow no earned runs in the 6th inning, or in the 9th inning. He would strike out a batter as he picked up his 6th save of the year. In the Braves batting lineup, their right fielder in this matchup, Travis Demeritte, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Demeritte would hit his 2nd home run of the season. Their third baseman, Austin Riley, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 6th home run of the year. Their catcher, William Contreras, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he would go on to hit his 1st and 2nd home runs of the season. With this win, the Atlanta Braves are 10-11. They are tied with the Philadelphia Phillies for the 3rd best record in the National League East. The Braves have won their last 2 games and they've won 5 of their last 10. They are sitting 5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are 6-14. That is the worst record in the American League West. They are tied with the Baltimore Orioles for the worst record in the American League. They've lost their last 4 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They are trailing the division-leading Los Angeles Angels by 7.5 games at the moment. Taking a look at what happened in Kansas City, the Royals would host the team that's holding the best record in the American League and also the hottest team in baseball. The New York Yankees would beat the Royals 12-2. They would score 3 of their runs in the 1st inning, and after the Royals scored their lone 2 runs, the Yankees would score 9 runs in the 7th and 8th inning combined. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Kansas City Royals would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Kris Bubic. Bubic allowed 3 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters, and with this loss, he's now 0-2. In the Royals batting lineup, their elite catcher, Salvador Perez, went 2 for 4 with an RBI. He was the only player on the Royals with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the New York Yankees would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Nestor Cortes. Cortes would allow 2 runs off of 8 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters, and with this win, Cortes is 1-0. In the Yankees batting lineup, their elite third baseman, DJ LeMahieu, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their elite designated hitter, Aaron Judge, would end up going 1 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 6th home run of the season. Their elite right fielder, Giancarlo Stanton, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Their elite second baseman, Gleyber Torres, would go 1-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run, as Torres would hit his second home run of the season. Their shortstop, Isaiah Kiner Falefa, would go 2-for-4 with 2 runs. And with this win, the New York Yankees are 14-6. They have the best record in the American League East, and they have the best record in the American League. Only the New York Mets have a better record than the Yankees in baseball right now. The Yankees have won their last 7. They have the longest active winning streak in baseball. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. They are sitting a game and a half ahead of the second-place Toronto Blue Jays in their division. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are now 7-11. That is the third best record in the American League Central, as they've lost 6 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 3 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. Taking a look at what happened in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers would go on to host the Chicago Cubs, and the Brewers would beat the Cubs 11-1. The Cubs would score their lone run in the 7th inning, but by then, the Brewers had already scored 7 runs. On the losing end of this matchup, the Chicago Cubs would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Kyle Hendricks. He allowed 6 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 4.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters and walk 2. With this loss, Kyle Hendricks is 1-2 in 2022. In the Cubs batting lineup, their first baseman, Alfonso Rivas, would end up going 2-for-4. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Milwaukee Brewers would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Adrian Hauser. He allowed no earned runs off of 2 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 3. With this win, he's now 2-2. In the Brewers batting lineup, their shortstop, Willy Adames, would go 2-for-5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would go on to hit his 5th home run of the season. Their right fielder, Hunter Renfroe, would go 2-for-4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 3rd and 4th home runs of the season. Their elite left fielder and former National League MVP, Christian Yelich, would go 1-for-3 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 2nd home run of the season. Their center fielder, Lorenzo Cain, would go 2-for-3 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are 14-7. That is the best record in the National League Central. They've now won their last 4 games. They are tied with the Padres for the second longest active winning streak in the National League, as only the Marlins have a longer winning streak in the in the league. And with this win, they have now won 8 of their last 10. They sit 2 games ahead of the second-place St. Louis Cardinals in their division. With this loss, the Chicago Cubs are now 8-12. They are tied with the Pittsburgh Pirates for the 3rd best record in the National League Central. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. They are now sitting 5.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers, and that is where they are sitting at this point in the season. Staying within the NL Central, the St. Louis Cardinals went on to host the Arizona Diamondbacks from the West. The Diamondbacks would end up beating the Cardinals 6-2. After the Cardinals scored the first run of the game, the Diamondbacks took the lead off of a ground out from Pavin Smith in the top of the 3rd, and they just ran away with it. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown St. Louis Cardinals would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Adam Wainwright. Wainwright would allow 3 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and then walk 5. With this loss, he is 2-3 on the year, and in the Cardinals batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. However, their elite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, would go 1-for-4 with his only hit, and he would hit his first home run of the season with an RBI and a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the Arizona Diamondbacks were led out by Madison Bumgarner, the former World Series hero. He would allow 1 earned run off of 3 hits in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 2 batters and then walked 1. With this win, Bumgarner is now 1-1, picking up his first win of the season with the Diamondbacks. In their batting lineup, their center fielder Dalton Varsho will go 2-for-5 with an RBI and a run. He was the only player on the team with a multi-hit game. With this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 9-12. That is the worst record in the National League West. They have currently won 6 of their last 10 games. They are trailing the first place LA Dodgers and the second place San Diego Padres by 5 games in the division. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are 11-8. That is the second best record in the National League Central. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 2 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. Taking a look at what's happening in Denver, the Colorado Rockies hosted the Cincinnati Reds. The Rockies would end up beating the Reds 10-4. Score was tied at 1 going into the 5th. The Rockies would, of course, take the lead off of a 3-run home run from Ryan McMahon, which gave them the win. And on the losing end of this matchup, the stone-cold Cincinnati Reds would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Hunter Greene. Hunter Greene would allow 4 earned runs off of 6 hits in the 4.1 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and then walk 4. With this loss, he is now 1-3. In the Reds batting lineup, their second baseman Jonathan India went 3 for 5 with a run. Their left fielder Tommy Pham went 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their center fielder Nick Senzel went 2 for 4 with a run as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Colorado Rockies would see the win go to their starting pitcher Antonio Senzatella. He would allow 1 earned run off of 7 hits in the 6.1 innings he pitched. He struck out 1 batter and then walked 2. With this win, he is now 2-1 on the season. In the Rockies batting lineup, their left fielder Connor Joe went 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their right fielder Randall Grichuk went 2 for 5 with an RBI. Their first baseman CJ Cron went 2 for 2 with an RBI and a run. Their catcher Elias Diaz went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their shortstop Jose Iglesias would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. With this win, the Colorado Rockies are now 11-9. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They've won 4 of their last 10 games. They are now sitting 2.5 games behind the first place LA Dodgers and second place San Diego Padres in the NL West division. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are now 3-17. That is the worst record in the National League Central, the National League, and in all of baseball. They're the only team who's lost more than 70% of their games this year, as they've only won 15%. They've lost 85% of their games so far. They've lost their last 4 games. They are currently tied with the Pittsburgh Pirates for the longest active losing streak in the National League, and they've lost 9 of their last 10. They sit 10.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers, as they've only played 20 games this year. And then taking a look at what happened in Oakland, the Oakland Athletics hosted the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians would end up beating the A's as they had to come from behind in the 7th inning. Going into the 7th, the A's were up 8-5, and then it would go on to be a 2-run double from Jose Ramirez to shorten their deficit to 1, and then a go-ahead 2-run home run from Josh Naylor would be what the Guardians needed to go ahead and win this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Oakland Athletics were led out by their starting pitcher Frankie Montas. Montas allowed 5 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He struck out 4 batters and then walked 4. The loss would go to the A's setup relief pitcher, Domingo Acevedo. Acevedo would allow 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 1 inning that he pitched. He would pick up his second blown save of the year, and he would pick up his first loss of the season as he's 0-1. He pitched the entire 7th inning. In the A's batting lineup, their third baseman, Sheldon Neuse, would end up going 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs, and he was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit. On the winning end of this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians were led out by their starting pitcher, Aaron Civale. Civale would allow 6 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 4 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters on the day. The win would go to the Guardians' setup relief pitcher in this matchup. Trevor Stefan would end up allowing no earned runs off of no hits in the 7th and 8th innings as he struck out 2 batters. With this win, Stefan is 2-0. The save would go to their closer, Emmanuel Clase. He pitched the entire 9th inning. He allowed no earned runs and only 1 hit as he struck out a batter. He picked up his 3rd save of the year. In the Guardians' batting lineup, their center fielder, Miles Straw, went 3 for 5 with 2 runs. Their elite third baseman, Jose Ramirez, went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs. He went on to hit his 7th home run of the season. Their right fielder, Josh Naylor, went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 2nd home run of the season. Their shortstop in this matchup, Andres Jimenez, would end up going 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run as he hit his 2nd home run of the season. With this win, the Cleveland Guardians are now 8-12. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They've won 3 of their last 10 games. Alongside the Royals, they are sitting 3 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. With this loss, the Oakland Athletics are 10-10. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games as they now sit 3.5 games behind the division-leading LA Angels. That is where they're sitting. Taking a look at what's happening in Los Angeles, the LA Dodgers went on to host the Detroit Tigers. They were going to win it 5-1 after scoring all 5 of their runs in the first 4 innings. On the losing end of this matchup, the Detroit Tigers will see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Tyler Alexander. Alexander allowed 4 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 2.1 innings he pitched. He would strike out a batter and then walk 2. With this loss, he's 0-3. In the Tigers batting lineup, their elite shortstop Javi Baez went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their catcher Tucker Barnhart went 2 for 3 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the win for the Dodgers went to their starting pitcher Tyler Anderson. Tyler Anderson would go on to allow 1 earned run off of 5 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and then walk 1. With this win, he's now 2-0. And, of course, in the Dodgers batting lineup, nobody on their team finished with more than 1 hit. Their third baseman, Justin Turner, went 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run, as he would go on to hit his first home run of the season. Their left fielder, Chris Taylor, would also hit his first home run of the season, as he had an RBI for himself. With this win, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 13-6. Record-wise, that is the best record in the National League West. They've now won 6 of their last 10 games. They have 1 less win and 1 less loss than the Giants, which is why they are sitting just ahead. Or they have 1 more win and 1 less win and 1 less loss than the San Diego Padres, which is why they sit even with the Padres despite having the better record. Win percentage-wise, they have the 2nd best record in the National League and the 3rd best record in all of baseball, as they sit behind the Yankees and the Mets at this moment. With this loss, the Detroit Tigers are 6-13. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They've lost their last 6 games. They've lost 8 of their last 10. Their 6-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the American League and in the majors. They've lost 8 of their last 10. The Tigers are sitting 4.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. Taking a look at what happened in the Bay, the San Francisco Giants hosted the Washington Nationals. The Nationals would end up beating the Giants 14-4. They would end up scoring 4 runs in the 6th and then 5 in the 8th to, of course, put the cherry on top, as they were able to make sure that the Giants were not able to get a lead. They scored their first 5 runs in the first 3 innings. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown San Francisco Giants would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Alex Wood. He allowed 5 earned runs off of 8 hits as he pitched 5 innings. He would strike out 3 batters and then walk 1. With this loss, Alex Wood is 2-1. In the Giants batting lineup, their designated hitter, Wilmer Flores, would end up going 3 for 5. Their catcher in this matchup, Austin Slater, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 runs. And then their catcher, Joey Bart, went 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He would go on to hit his 3rd home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the Washington Nationals would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Aaron Sanchez. Aaron Sanchez would allow 3 runs off of 6 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters, and with this win, he's now 1-1. In the Nats batting lineup, their second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, went 3 for 6 with an RBI and a run. Their elite right fielder, Juan Soto, went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 4th home run of the season. Their first baseman, Josh Bell, went 4 for 6 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their third baseman, Michael Franco, would go 4 for 6 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their left fielder in this matchup, Lane Thomas, would end up going 2 for 6 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their center fielder in this matchup, Victor Robles, would end up going 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs. Their shortstop in this matchup, Alcides Escobar, would end up going 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 7-15. That is the worst record in the National League East. They've won 2 of their last 10 games, and they now sit 8.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. That is where they are sitting, as they they're currently holding on to the second worst record in the National League. Only the Reds have a worse record than the Nats. On the losing end of the side, the San Francisco Giants are now 13-7. That is the third best record in the National League West. They've now lost their last 2 games and 4 of their last 10. They sit half a game behind the first place LA Dodgers, and they also sit half a game behind the second place San Diego Padres at this moment in the MLB season. But right now, that is where all these teams are sitting. Taking a look at what's going on today, because of course today is Saturday, we're going to see some stuff going on early. At 4:05 on FS1 in Chicago, Vince Velasquez and the Chicago White Sox are going to host Jose Suarez in the AL West leading Los Angeles Angels, as they are playing incredibly well this season. And then later on FS1 at 7:10 in New York, the team that's holding the best record in baseball, the New York Mets, led by Taijuan Walker, are going to host the Philadelphia Phillies after the team no-hit the Phillies last night. Phillies are going to be led out by Kyle Gibson. Looking at the games that aren't going to be on prime time, at 2:15 in St. Louis, Miles Michaelis and the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host Merrill Kelly and the Arizona Diamondbacks. At 3:07, Jose Barrios and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to host Luis Garcia and the Houston Astros. Continuing on, at 4:05, Logan Webb and the San Francisco Giants are going to host Joan Adon and the Washington Nationals. At 4:07, Cole Irvin and the Oakland Athletics are going to host Shane Bieber, the elite starting pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians. Bieber enters this matchup with a 1-1 record, holding a 2.82 ERA. At 4:10, Shane McClanahan and the Tampa Bay Rays are going to host Chris Archer in the Minnesota Twins. At 6:10 in Lone Depot Park, Jesus Luzardo and the Miami Marlins are going to host the Seattle Mariners, led by their elite starting pitcher Robbie Ray. Ray enters his matchup with a 2-1 record, holding a 3.91 ERA. At 6:35, JT Brubaker and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Sean Manaea and the San Diego Padres, who are knocking on the NL West door. At 7:05, Dane Dunning and the Texas Rangers are going to host Bryce Elder and the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves. Looking at what's going to happen at 7:05, Spencer Watkins and the Baltimore Orioles are going to host Nathan Eovaldi and the Boston Red Sox. At 7:10, Eric Lauer and the Milwaukee Brewers are going to host Justin Steele and the Chicago Cubs. At the same time, Carlos Hernandez and the Kansas City Royals are going to host the red-hot New York Yankees, who have the longest winning streak in baseball, as they're going to be led out by their elite starting pitcher, Garrett Cole. Cole comes into this matchup with a 1-0 record, holding a 4-flat ERA. At 8:10, in Coors Field, Chad Kuhl and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Connor Overton and the Cincinnati Reds, as the Reds are sporting the worst record in baseball. Last but not least, at 10:10 in Dodger Stadium, the LA Dodgers, who are going to be led out by their goated starting pitcher Clayton Kershaw, are going to host Bo Breesk and the Detroit Tigers. Clayton Kershaw enters this matchup with a 3-0 record, holding a 2.65 ERA so far. That's what baseball is looking like. Taking a look at what's going on with soccer overseas, as we entered quite another contentious weekend. Looking at England first, the top 2 teams in England are going to get their matchups going. The top team in England, in this matchup, is Man City at the moment. They're going to face off against Leeds at 12:30. Leeds entered this matchup as the 16th best team in England. With a win here, they would be 1 point ahead of Liverpool, but they come into this matchup only 1 point ahead, as Liverpool has their matchup against Newcastle United, as that matchup is set to take place at 7:30 this morning. So that's what's going on in that league. With a win here for Liverpool and even a draw for Man City, Liverpool could take over the top. But right now, Man City enters as the team that's 1 point above. Man City and Liverpool are in must-win situations in England today. Taking a look at what is happening in Spain, the top team in Spain, Real Madrid, is going to host Espanyol at 10:15. And then coming into this matchup, Real Madrid can win they can go on to, of course, clinch the La Liga title for sure with a win, as I believe Sevilla can already catch up to them. They already have one, and I think they're going to officially celebrate it on the field versus Espanyol. Espanyol enters this particular matchup as the 13th best team. I think win, loss, or draw, Real Madrid should have already won the La Liga. And then looking at what's going to happen with Atletico Madrid at 3 o'clock, they're going to face up against Athletic Club. Club is the 8th best team in Spain, as Atletico Madrid is currently the fourth best team. A win here could possibly temporarily tie them up with Sevilla and get them ahead of Barcelona. They've played as many games as Barca. Barca does not play today. But a win for Atletico Madrid would, of course, do a lot. They are sitting 4 points ahead of fifth place Real Betis. If they want to clinch a Champions League spot, a win here is very crucial. Taking a look at what is going on in Italy for the time being. The top team that's going to be playing in Italy is going to be Napoli, as they're going to host Sassuolo. Napoli enters this matchup with the third best record in Italy. They sit 5 points behind second place Inter, 1 point ahead of fourth place Juventus, and they sit 9 points ahead of Roma. A win here should, of course, cement Napoli's spot in Champions League for next year. It will be a very important, very big win, very decisive one, especially if Roma were to lose their game. But Napoli, this is their opportunity to really seize it. Taking a look at what's going on in Germany, the top team in Germany and the team that already won the championship, Bayern Munich, is going to face off against Mainz at 9:30. Mainz enters this matchup as the 10th best team in Germany. Bayern Munich sits 12 points ahead of second place Dortmund with 3 games left in their schedule. Speaking of Dortmund is going to host VfL Bochum, as Dortmund, with one more win, should of course clinch the runners-up spot in Germany. They sit 9 points ahead, or they sit 11 points ahead of fifth place Freiburg, which means Dortmund has already clinched a spot in Champions League. And of course, with a win here, it looks as though they can definitely secure that runner-up spot in Germany. Bochum, the team that they're going to face, is going to enter this matchup as the 13th best team in the country. But that is what's going on there. And then even taking a look at teams that are just on the outside looking in, Freiburg, the 5th best team in Germany, who sits 3 points, or who sits 2 points behind fourth place Leipzig, could temporarily take over that fourth spot with a win over Hoffenheim today. But like I said, that's everything that I have for today. I want to thank everyone for listening. And once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow on Sunday, May 1st for another episode. And until then, I want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well. And I just think it's been a crazy year from where I came from last year. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well. I'm sorry for butchering the names. I want to thank the ESPN, the NBA, NHL, MLB, and FIFA websites for giving me all the stats and figures I need. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do it. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well. Thanks for listening to my piece, and peace out.